Good morning, students. Let us move on to a new chapter of new standard, that is standard 12. The first unit, that is reproduction in organism, and the first chapter, that is the reproduction in the organism. Now, in this chapter, what we shall study? We shall study the definition of reproduction. We shall also study the different types of modes of reproduction, that is the asexual, sexual, and also we shall study about the different ways by which the organism reproduce through asexual and the sexual method, children. Now, the first thing is that each and every organism, when it borns, it has to die. So there is a particular phase of the organism wherein it births, or we can say it comes onto the earth and it dies, we can say. Now on the other hand, it is the only process wherein the organism has to continue its species. Like humans, they also need to maintain the progeny or the species, wherein the other organisms also they need to maintain their continuity of the species. Now, there is only one life process which is responsible for this continuity of the generation, is the what, children? That is the reproduction. Now, the first thing that comes into our mind, why reproduction is necessary. Now, reproduction is necessary so as to maintain the sequential of the progeny of the species. It also helps in identifying and maintaining the balance in the ecosystem, and for that reason reproduction is necessary, children. Now, the other one is that each and every individual has a lifespan. Now, lifespan meaning what? When the organism takes, or we can say it borns, till the natural death, that phase is known as the what, children? Lifespan. So we can again write what is lifespan. That is the period between the birth and the natural death. It is known as the what, children? Lifespan. Now, each and every organism in this world or this universe, we can say, has a particular lifespan, we can say. But it is not to be construed or understand that each of the organism or two different organisms having the same masses or same structure, they will have the same lifespan. Like we can say, an example, a mango and a peepal tree, they both have different lifespan. Like mango tree has a shorter lifespan compared to that of the peepal tree, children. So in that case, what happens is that both the trees, we can say, they have the good structures. Okay, both are having the same characteristics and they belong to the same species, but yet the lifespan is what we can say different. So all the organisms, they exhibit, we can say, different lifespan, we can say. Now, if we want to write the definition of the reproduction, children, so we can write it as, it is defined as a biological process where the parents give birth to the young ones. Now, as we all know that reproduction is the only life process where the organism has the ability to continue its species, we can say. So in that case, this reproduction can be of two types, children. That is the asexual mode of reproduction and the sexual mode of reproduction, children. Now, we already learned in the 10th standard or the 11th standard, children, that is asexual mode of reproduction means what? That is the reproduction in which only single parent is being involved. So, a type of reproduction where only one parent is involved. And what about the sexual mode of reproduction? It is a type of reproduction where two parents are involved. Now, we have seen that where in the asexual mode of reproduction, there is only one parent. So, the daughter cells will be exactly, or we can say exactly identical to the parent, we can say. Now, there is still a confusion, or we can say not a confusion, rather than we can construe that the daughter cells which are exactly similar to the parents, we can say, they have the same genetic structure. The answer may be yes or no. Now, in that case, if the genetical constitution is same to that of the parent, then that species is said to be the clone. It is said to be what, children? Clone. So, what is the definition of clone? Or what are the clone species? That is those species which are identical, exactly resembling to their parents with respect to the genetic structure also. They are also termed as the what, children? Clone, we can say. Okay. Now, there are, we can say, different methods of the we can say asexual reproduction also in different organisms. Now, it is for sure that when an organism we can say takes birth, it has to die. Now, can you tell me that can any organism be immortal? Yes, there are some organisms which are immortal, wherein their species does not die, we can say. And these are the single cell organisms, that is the asexual mode of reproduction, that is the bacteria and the other organism, we can say. Now, let us talk about the different types of, we can say, the asexual reproduction and different organisms. Now, if we talk about the first one, that is the we can say the types of asexual reproduction. Now, types of asexual reproduction differs in animals as well as we can say plants. Now, if I talk about the animals, so the first one that I talk about, it's the binary fission, we can say. Now, binary fission generally takes place in the amoeba and the paramecium. Now, on the other hand, there are the other organisms, we can say, there is the fungi. This fungi, they reproduce through the structures known as the zoospores. Okay? And the other one, that is the other organism, that is the penicillium, or we can say conidia. They are the structures and the other organisms like the, we can say, the budding is being seen in the hydra as well as we can say in the yeast. Even fragmentation can be considered over here in the this one oscillatoria and the, we can say, planaria, we can say. So these are the different types of examples wherein we can say, okay, the organism reproduced by different reproductive structures asexually, and the other one, that is the spores. Okay, they are having the what class? The gametes. Now, so these are the different ways by which the animals, they reproduce by the what class? The asexual reproductive method with the reproductive structures present in them, children, we can say. Now, on the other hand, plants, we can say, they reproduce through a method known as the vegetative propagation. Now, vegetative propagation is defined as the reproduction which takes place without the help of we can say reproductive organs. It is known as the what class? Vegetative propagation. So that is, it is defined as reproduction without the help of reproductive structures. Now, over here, when we are talking about the reproductive structures, there are certain things which are present in the plants and they are being modified. Like we can say the roots, they are being modified to store the food and the, okay, in the form of carrot, stem in the form of potato, ginger, and all these things. Now, the vegetative propagation involves these structures known in the form of vegetative propagules. Now, this vegetative propagules, they are nothing but the structures which help in the reproduction process. Example, that is the rhizome, tuber, sucker, buds, then the eyes, then the other one, that is the offset, as in the case of runners, and the bulbs. So these are the vegetative propagules or the structures which help in the what, children? The vegetative propagation of the plants, we can say. Now, vegetative propagation can be of two types again, that is the artificial and natural. Natural with the help of root, stem, and the leaves, and the other one, that is the with the help of, we can say, the artificial one, that is cutting, layering, and the grafting, children. Okay, with the help of root, stem, and leaves again. Now, there is a case study being given in the book that is about the terror Bengal, we can say, or the example of water hyacinth. Now, there is a plant that is known as the water hyacinth, which water hyacinth, it is a type of plant which is present in the rivers and the ponds and the lakes, wherein it competes with the dissolved oxygen which is present in the water, children. Now, this water hyacinth, what it does, it takes up the dissolved nutrients and the oxygen from the water, thereby leading to the deficiency of oxygen. Now, in that case, what happens, children, is that this water hyacinth will take up all the dissolved oxygen from the water, and there will be no leftover oxygen for the what you can say zooplanktons animals like the fishes and the other animals to breathe in. So eventually what will happen is that this organism will die and only water hyacinth will survive. Now, the other advantage of this water hyacinth is that it has a short time of, we can say, reproduction, meaning it eventually grows in less number of time, we can say. So in that case, it is very difficult for these organisms, or to, we can say, other organisms to compete with. So as a result, they will take up more and more, we can say, okay, oxygen, dissolved oxygen from the water, and thereby leading to the death of the other fishes and all the other organisms. Now, this plant was being introduced in the Bengal, in the other parts of the country, for its flora, we can say, for its what you can say attractive flowers. But eventually no one knew about the consequences which later, we can say, will develop or will kill the other organisms also, children. Okay, so this is all about the asexual mode of reproduction, and we can say the other types of the reproduction that we have studied. Now, the next, we can say, topic that we are going to study is known as the sexual reproduction. Now, sexual reproduction is the process wherein two individuals are being present, that is the male and the female. Now, the male and the female, that is, if we talk about, that is the sperm, the male gamete, and the female, that is the ovum or the egg. When they will fuse together, they will form the what children? Zygote. This zygote will form by the process of fertilization. Now, once it is being produced, this zygote will repeatedly divide itself through the process of meiosis. Zygote will form the embryo, embryo to fetus, and fetus to a child, we can say. Now, this sexual reproduction is a very slow process compared to that of the asexual. So, it is what children? Slow process. Now, why? Because there will be a process of the fusion of the male and the female gamete, as well as the other one is that the zygote formation will take place after a longer period of time, we can say. Will develop into an embryo, embryo will take eventually grow into a fetus. So there is a lot of time being taken to undergo the process from zygote to fetus and the child, we can say. On the other hand, the resultant offspring will be having the characteristics of parents. Now, in this case, where two individuals are being present, children, over here, and we also have learned in the previous years, that is, this offsprings will have the characteristics of father and the mother. Like we people, we have our characteristics of father and mother. We do not copy our genetic identical constitution from the mother or only from the father. We may have the characteristics of our grandparents also, children. So in that case, because here two gametes or two gonads are being taking place, okay, role in this sexual reproduction, we have the characteristics of both the parents, children. Now, but there is one characteristics being seen over here other than the asexual, that is, once the organism starts to, we can say, produce the gametes or the flowers in the plants, we can say, they have to be prepared, or they have to come to a stage wherein they are able to, we can say, produce the what class? Gametes. And that phase is known as the juvenile phase, we can say. Okay? Like we can say the period the phase where the organism starts to reproduce, that phase is called juvenile phase. Now, juvenile phase is the phase wherein the organism they are about to reach that stage wherein they can start producing the hormones, and that hormones will in turn will what you can say start producing the gametes. Now, this is about the animals. Now, what about the plants? It is known as the vegetative phase. Now, vegetative phase is the phase wherein the plants produce flowers. Now, when the plants produce the flowers, it is to be understood that they are quite ready for the reproduction, or they are now ready for their reproduction process, we can say, or the plant can exhibit the reproduction process, we can say. Now, if we talk about the, we can say, the real life examples, many plants, as I told you in the early in the lecture also, there is no two species, or if both the species they come to a common family, okay, they will have different type of lifespans, we can say. Similarly, the reproductive phase is also different, children. Now, if we talk about, there is a case study being given in your book that is about a plant known as the Strobilanthes, we can say Canthian, we can say, or Strobilus kunthina. Now, this Strobilanthes kunthina, they have the what you can say a vegetative phase about 12 years. Like once in 12 years, they produce the flowers, we can say. Now, there are some common examples, real life examples that we come across. Like the bamboo we can say. Now this bamboo, they take up to 50 to 100 years we can say. This 50 to 100 years, once in the lifetime, they produce the flowers, and in turn they produce the what class? The new offsprings we can say. Okay. Now if we talk about these case studies, there is Strobilanthus kuntinia, there is Niru Kunjina, that is the common name of this, Niru Kunjina. Now this Strobilus kuntina, they were being we can say grown in the states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and the Kerala. Now it was grown in such a way that it covered all the places and the tracks of the mountains of this Strobilus kuntina, wherein they lead to the famous attraction of the tourists and the other people also. So for that, it's also a great value of ornamental, as well as once in a 12 years they come and they grow, we can say, children. So this is the example of the vegetative phases of the different type of plants we can say. Now this is about the plant children. Now what about the animal children? Now animals, if they are we can say non-primate. Now non-primate meaning they are having the different cycle changes we can say, cyclic changes. That is the non-primate animals like cow, deer, tiger, then the rats, all this thing, they have the cyclic changes, in the form of astrious cycle. Okay, wherein the primate animals like mammals, including the humans we can say, they have cyclic changes in the form of menstrual cycle. Now if we talk about the different type of organism, they have the different type of cycles, like menstrual cycle in the females, okay, and the hormonal changes in the behavioral changes in the humans especially. Now if I talk about the other we can say breeders, the breeders are nothing but the organisms which can breed. Now breeders are of two types we can say, cyclic breeders and the seasonal breeders. Now cyclic breeders are those breeders which have a particular life cycle of breeding we can say, throughout the year we can say, and the seasonal breeders are those breeders which have a particular season wherein they are having the phase, or they are having the time to breed we can say. Now if these seasonal breeders, if they want to reproduce other than these seasonal changes, then they are having the other modes of we can say the reproduction, or they cannot reproduce we can say. Whereas the cyclic we can say breeders, they have the other we can say have a definite time of, or having a definite cycle wherein this organism can reproduce we can say. Okay. Now so this is all about the sexual reproduction. Now the type of we can say reproduction that occurs in the humans can be classified into three types. That is the pre-fertilization, then the gametogenesis, and the post-fertilization we can say, or we can say pre-fertilization, fertilization, and the post-fertilization processes. Now that three processes we shall discuss in the next lecture, children. I hope you have understood all these things, and I will sending you the PDF of this chapter, children. Please do read this topic, and if at all if you do not have understood any term or anything, then please let me know through WhatsApp, as you already have my number with you, and feel free to ask me, children. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.